Have you ever noticed how exhausted you can feel without actually doing anything? Your body is lying in bed, ready to rest, but your mind is still working. You replay a conversation from yesterday, wondering if you said the wrong thing. Then your mind jumps to tomorrow. What if this happens? What if I make the wrong decision? What if everything goes wrong? And before you realize it, you're no longer living in the quiet room around you. You're living inside a story your mind has created. This is the strange nature of overthinking. We tell ourselves that we're trying to find an answer, but sometimes we're simply asking the same question in 100 different ways, hoping that eventually uncertainty will disappear. But what if it doesn't? What if the answer isn't to think harder? What if the real problem is that we've learned to treat every thought as something we must believe, solve, or control? For more than 2,000 years, Buddhist wisdom has approached the restless mind from a very different direction. It doesn't tell you to fight your thoughts. It teaches you to understand them. And when you begin to see the mind clearly, something changes. The thoughts may still come, the uncertainty may still exist, but they no longer have to control where your attention goes or how you experience your life. In this video, we'll explore 3 Buddhist teachings that can help you step out of the cycle of overthinking and move towards something the mind has been searching for all along: inner peace. Let's begin with the first teaching. One of the most difficult things about overthinking is that we rarely notice the moment a simple thought becomes a story. Someone you care about doesn't reply to your message. At first, there's only a fact: they haven't replied. But then the mind begins filling in the silence. Did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? Maybe something has changed. What if they don't care about me anymore? And suddenly, you're no longer responding to what actually happened. You're responding to a story your mind created around what happened. This is where Buddhist wisdom offers a very different way of looking at the mind. You don't have to fight your thoughts. You don't have to push them away. And you don't have to believe every thought simply because it appeared in your mind. Instead, you learn to observe. There's a profound difference between saying, "I am a failure," and saying, "I am having the thought that I am a failure." The first statement makes the thought part of your identity. The second creates a little space between you and the thought. And sometimes, that little space is where peace begins. Think of your thoughts like clouds moving across an open sky. Some clouds are bright and peaceful. Others are dark and heavy. Some disappear almost as quickly as they arrived. Others seem to stay for hours. But no matter how large or dark a cloud becomes, it's still only a cloud. It's not the sky. In the same way, a fearful thought isn't necessarily a fearful reality. A self-critical thought isn't necessarily the truth about who you are, and a prediction about the future isn't a prophecy. The mind produces thoughts constantly. Some are useful, some are completely ordinary, and some are shaped by fear, insecurity, memory, or uncertainty. The mistake we often make is assuming that because a thought feels convincing, it must be true. But feelings can be convincing without being accurate. So the next time you notice your mind beginning to spiral, don't immediately ask, "How do I make this thought disappear?" Instead, pause and simply notice it. You might say to yourself, "This is worry. This is fear. This is regret." Or simply, "I am having this thought." You don't need to argue with it. You don't need to prove it wrong. You don't even need to solve it. Just notice it. Because the moment you can observe a thought, you're no longer completely inside it. You're aware of it, and awareness gives you a choice. You can ask, "Is this actually happening right now? Is this a fact, or is this story my mind is creating?" And sometimes, you'll discover that the thing causing you the most suffering isn't what's happening around you. It's what your mind is saying about it. This doesn't mean you should ignore important thoughts or avoid problems that genuinely need your attention. It means learning the difference between thinking and being trapped in thought. Thinking can help you solve a problem. Overthinking keeps asking the same question long after there's nothing new to discover. Buddhist mindfulness doesn't promise a mind that never produces another difficult thought. It offers something more realistic and perhaps more powerful: the ability to notice the thought without becoming the thought, because peace doesn't require you to empty your mind. It begins when you stop treating every thought as something you must believe, solve, or follow. But observing your thoughts is only the beginning, because sometimes you know a thought may not be true. And yet you still can't let it go. You keep replaying it. You keep analyzing it. You keep trying to control what might happen next. And beneath that endless mental struggle, there's often something even deeper: the desire to make life unfold exactly the way you want it to. That brings us to the second Buddhist teaching. There's another reason we become trapped in overthinking. Sometimes it isn't the thought itself that we can't let go of. It's what we're trying to control through that thought. We want to know what will happen. We want to know what someone else is thinking. We want to know whether our decision will work out. We want to know that the relationship will last, that the interview will go well, that the future will be safe. And when we don't have those answers, the mind begins searching. It goes over the same conversation. It imagines different outcomes. It creates one scenario after another. And somehow we convince ourselves that if we think about something long enough, we might finally gain control over it. But worry isn't control. Rumination isn't preparation. And thinking about an uncertain future doesn't make that future more certain. Buddhist wisdom points toward a difficult but liberating truth. Much of our suffering comes not only from what happens, but from our attachment to how we believe things should happen. We don't simply experience reality, we compare reality with the reality we wanted. This shouldn't have happened. They shouldn't have treated me that way. I should have made a different decision. My life should be further ahead by now. And the greater the distance between what's happening and what we believe should be happening, the harder the mind struggles. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you hold it gently, it can remain in your hand. But if you close your fist and squeeze as tightly as possible, the sand begins slipping through your fingers. The harder you try to possess it, the more you lose. Our relationship with life can be like that. We hold tightly to people, to plans, to expectations, to outcomes, to the version of the future we've already created in our imagination. And when reality doesn't follow that picture, we squeeze harder. We think more, we worry more, we analyze more. But the world doesn't become more controllable. We simply become more exhausted. Letting go, however, doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean becoming passive or pretending that nothing matters. It means understanding the difference between what's within your influence and what's beyond your control. If something is within your control, act. Have the conversation, make the decision, take the next step. Do what you can. But once you've done what's yours to do, there comes a point when more thinking no longer serves you. It only keeps you emotionally attached to an outcome you cannot guarantee. Think about how often you worry about another person's opinion. You can choose your words. You can choose your behavior. You can choose whether you act with honesty and kindness. But you cannot control how another person interprets you. You can prepare for an important meeting. You can do the work. You can arrive prepared. But you cannot control every question you're asked or exactly how another person responds. You can make thoughtful plans for your future, but you cannot guarantee that life will follow them. This is where letting go becomes an act of wisdom. You stop asking, how can I make sure everything turns out the way I want? And you begin asking, what's actually mine to do? That question can change the entire relationship you have with uncertainty. Because when something is within your control, you don't need to obsess over it. You simply act. And when something is outside your control, endless thinking cannot bring it into your hands. You have to release it, not forever, not perfectly, just for this moment. Because sometimes peace doesn't come from finding the answer. Sometimes peace comes from accepting that there's no answer you can find right now. There will always be things you cannot predict. People will sometimes misunderstand you. Plans will sometimes fail. Things you love will sometimes change. And no amount of mental rehearsal can completely protect you from the uncertainty of being alive. But you can choose how much of your present moment you sacrifice trying to control what cannot be controlled. The next time you notice yourself caught in a cycle of worry, pause and ask yourself one simple question. What can I actually do about this right now? If there's something you can do, do it. If there isn't, notice that. 2. You don't need to keep carrying a problem simply because your mind hasn't stopped talking about it. Sometimes the wisest action is action, and sometimes the wisest action is release. When you stop trying to control every outcome, something unexpected happens. You create space for your attention, space for your relationships, space for ordinary moments that you might otherwise miss, and, most importantly, space to return to the life that's actually happening. But there's still one place the mind loves to escape to whenever it isn't trying to control the future: the past. The conversation you wish you could change, the decision you wish you could undo, the moment you wish you could live again. And that leads us to the third teaching: learning to return to the only moment you can actually live. There's one more place the mind loves to escape whenever it isn't busy trying to control the future: the past. A conversation you wish you could change, a decision you wish you'd made differently, a mistake you still replay in your mind, wondering how life might have turned out if you'd chosen another path. And the strange thing is, we often return to these moments believing that if we think about them enough, somehow we'll finally find peace. But the past cannot be edited by thinking about it again. You can learn from it, you can understand it, you can even forgive yourself for it, but you cannot go back and live it differently. And the same is true of the future. You can prepare for it, you can make thoughtful plans, you can take reasonable precautions, but you cannot actually live tomorrow today. Yet this is where so much of our mental energy goes. One part of the mind is looking backward, asking, what should I have done? Another part is looking forward, asking, what if something goes wrong? And somewhere between those two questions, the present moment quietly disappears. Buddhist wisdom repeatedly brings us back to something incredibly simple: this moment. Not because the past doesn't matter, not because the future doesn't matter, but because this is the only moment in which you can actually do anything. Think about it. You cannot take action yesterday. You cannot have a conversation with tomorrow. You cannot breathe in the past. You cannot breathe in the future. Every breath you've ever taken has happened here, now, and that makes the present moment more than an abstract spiritual idea. It's the only place where your life is actually unfolding. Imagine standing beside a river. The water is flowing in front of you. You can look upstream and think about everything that has already passed. You can look downstream and imagine everything that might come. But neither direction is where your feet are. Your life is happening where you're standing. And sometimes, overthinking is simply the mind spending so much time looking upstream and downstream that it forgets to notice the ground beneath its feet. This is why returning to the present doesn't require some extraordinary spiritual experience. It can be incredibly simple. The next time you notice your mind becoming lost in the past or racing toward the future, stop, take one slow breath. Notice what you can see around you. Notice the feeling of your body where you're sitting or standing. Listen to the sounds around you. Feel the movement of your breath, and then ask yourself what's actually happening right now. Not what might happen, not what already happened. What's happening now? Maybe you're sitting in a quiet room. Maybe you're walking outside. Maybe you're drinking coffee. Maybe you're lying in bed. Maybe, in this exact moment, the thing your mind has been afraid of isn't actually happening at all. And noticing that can create a small space between you and the story. That space matters, because the present moment doesn't ask you to solve your entire life. It doesn't ask you to know what happens next year. It doesn't ask you to undo yesterday. It simply asks you to be here. This doesn't mean we should stop planning or stop learning from the past. Reflection can be useful. Planning can be wise. But there's a difference between reflection and rumination. There's a difference between preparing for the future and repeatedly suffering through imaginary versions of it. The question isn't whether you think about the past or future. The question is whether thinking about them is helping you live this moment or preventing you from living it. And perhaps that's where these 3 Buddhist teachings come together. First, learn to observe your thoughts instead of becoming them. Second, release your need to control outcomes that were never completely in your hands. And third, return again and again to the only moment you can actually live. You may not be able to stop your mind from producing thoughts. You may not be able to remove uncertainty from your life, and you certainly cannot control everything that happens around you, but you can learn to stop abandoning the present every time your mind becomes afraid. Because peace isn't necessarily waiting for you somewhere in the future. It isn't hidden inside the perfect answer, and it isn't waiting for your life to become completely free of problems. Sometimes, peace begins much closer than that. It begins with noticing that you're here, breathing, alive in this moment, and for this moment, nothing else is required. If you notice yourself overthinking tonight, don't try to force your mind to become silent. Instead, remember the 3 teachings. Observe the thought. You're not every thought that appears in your mind. Let go of what you cannot control. You can control your actions, but not every outcome. Return to the present. The past cannot be changed, and the future hasn't arrived. Your mind may still wander. It may still worry. It may still create stories about what could happen, but you don't have to follow every story it creates. You can pause, you can breathe, you can notice, and you can come back to this moment. Because inner peace doesn't mean that life suddenly becomes free of uncertainty. It means you no longer need certainty in order to feel at peace. Perhaps that's one of the deepest lessons Buddhist wisdom offers us. You don't have to control your thoughts to be free from them. You simply have to stop giving every thought the power to control your life. So the next time your mind begins to replay yesterday or fear tomorrow, ask yourself, what's actually happening right now? And gently return to your breath, to your surroundings, to this moment, because this moment isn't waiting for you somewhere in the future. It's your life happening now.